I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this is another Higher Things video short. God doesn't have to do miracles today. That's the subject of today's Higher Things video short. When you're talking to your agnostic or atheist friends, inevitably one of them will have a smart remark that if God would just do something today, maybe you thought this. Maybe it's not just agnostics that think this, but if God would just do something super spectacular and godlike, a spectacular God strike and God show, then it would be easier to believe in him. If God would do some God things and we could see the God things, then faith wouldn't be so difficult. But it's because we have to put our faith in some words in the past or some miracles that happened to other people, and then we have a real problem. But the simple fact is that if God did a spectacular God strike, if he did a feeding of a 5,000 or did a miracle and healed someone, raised the dead, or came back from the dead, we wouldn't believe. No, we wouldn't. We would ask for something else, something to prove the sign. And it happens over and over again in Scripture. It happened last week's gospel. It happened in this week's gospel. It happened with the feeding of the 5,000. Just feed us some more. Give us some more bread and fish to eat. Jesus, he casts out a demon, and then right afterwards in John 8, we would believe in you if you would just do a sign. It doesn't really. God's done signs. He's been there. He's done that. He's done the pillar of cloud thing. He's done the spectacular God shows and God strikes, rumbling mountain and stuff like that. No. We just, in our unbelief, ask for more. And the second thing is that God really has acted. He doesn't have to do it again because he has acted in the sending of his Son, who took upon himself our flesh, died the death we deserve, and rose again from the dead. God has saved us in the person of his Son. The Son of God's death saved all of mankind. And so spectacular God strikes aren't what's for dinner. What's for dinner is his words and his promises and the forgiveness of sins and his body and blood. That proclamation saves. And so from God's perspective in the Scriptures, there's no need to do something spectacular, out of the ordinary, because he already has in the taking up out of our flesh. And the third thing, I don't remember when I started counting if three's the actual thing, is that God is doing spectacular things all the time around us. He's rescuing us through means and through those around us and through miraculous happenstance that we dismiss every day as just pure luck. He saves us through surgeries that shouldn't work and jobs that we shouldn't get, and food that we don't deserve, and life that we, just squander. And so not only does spectacular God strikes not work because, we just ask for more, and God has acted in the person of his Son, he still takes care of us today despite us. And I think one more thing is important here. And that is, faith. Faith grasps hold of the promise of the gospel. And it lives not by seeing or experiencing, but by the words of forgiveness, which testify to Jesus having lent it for us to save us. The words, I forgive you, deliver the very gospel, which grasps hold and believes that in this world God has acted. So you're never going to prove to somebody by pointing to a past event or pointing to a present event that God is real. God is real in the death and resurrection of Christ. And that word, that forgiveness enlivens faith or is rejectable. See, because if God comes with a super spectacular God strike, he's irresistible, scary, and lawish. And we would run for cover that God was too much God. But when he comes in the person of his Son, in words and waters and in bread and wine, he's resistible and rejectable and able to be loved rather than forced to be loved. God has acted. Faith believes that. Faith lays hold of that, and we're saved. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this has been another Higher Things video short.